Just recently, on a walk with my family, I said to them, it's funny. Sometimes you need to lose yourself before you can find yourself. And I didn't really go too deep into what I really meant there, although we did talk about it for a little bit. But what really I was referring to there was my journey specifically. Because the more I progress on my journey, the more I realize that all of life is simply a journey of self-discovery. It's a process. And I've heard people tell me so many times, and not just, tell me, but people post everywhere online, and it's a lesson that's repeated so often, which is just be yourself, just be yourself. And for so long, I never really thought twice about that lesson because it seemed so obvious, so normal. Like, how could I not be myself, right? It's one of those lessons that it kind of goes in one ear and comes out the other, and you don't really think about it deeply because you just think, well, yeah, of course, be yourself. That makes sense. Why would I be anyone else? But from my experience, we do not realize what that really means to be yourself because of the fact that we spend so much of our lives being who we think we should be. And I say that specifically because I've just realized now this is the main lesson that's top of mind for me right now, that I'm actually creating a video about for my main channel, and more on that in just a second, which is that I spent most of my life so far, almost all of my life, being who I thought I should be rather than who I truly am. And the way it looked like was like this. So I spent the first, well, obviously I, started school at 5 or 6. That we all start school later on, obviously, when we're several years old. But then once I started school, I, spent like a decade. I left at 16. I left school at 16. So I spent a decade in school just going, through this schooling system. And by the end, I thought I wanted to be a civil engineer. And the reason for that was it was simply because I thought it was the right thing to do or the right thing to become. Just because it was, a good job, and that's just what was expected of me back then. I was just expected to get a good, decent job. I was expected to get an A in maths and, good grades in physics and this and that. And you know what? I did. And so, I worked hard in school to get those good grades so I could become a civil engineer because, well, once again, that's what I thought I wanted to become. I never even considered my truest, deepest, biggest, wildest dreams at that point. I didn't ask myself, what do I truly want out of this life? Who truly am I, and what do I truly want to achieve, and who do I truly want to become? I never asked those questions. I just, I just want to be a civil engineer. And then eventually, when I was roughly 16, coming on 17, I came across self-help and online business on YouTube. And that's when my eyes were opened to actually considering what truly could be possible for me, rather than just accepting what I supposedly quote unquote should do or become, get a good job. I started to question what I truly wanted and really think about what I truly wanted. And yet I thought very quickly, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted. I realized, okay, I want nice watches, and I did genuinely know deep down that I wanted to inspire people and help people and actually make a positive impact in the world. And of course, give back to my family. That's one of the main reasons I started this whole entire journey in the first place and why I got so serious about it. But I took inspiration from these online gurus who, made maybe like 1 million at 18, for example, to the point where I thought I had to be like them for some reason. I just thought, okay, I'm gonna shoot for the stars, and these are the stars. These people who are millionaires, That's what I've got to achieve. And so for the next year or so, I was hustling and grinding and just trying to force a reality into giving me what I wanted. I thought, what did I think? What was I thinking back then? I was essentially sacrificing today for a good tomorrow. And sometimes you need to do that, if you've got big dreams. But in my opinion, it's not about sacrificing today. It's about enjoying today while creating a better tomorrow, not sacrificing. You do have to sacrifice in life, but I think you can still enjoy life. And that's what I've really learned lately. And I've learned to slow down and look around and look at the trees and the flowers and the birds flying around instead of just chasing constantly. Because we end up just chasing these goals, and all we ever do is chase, and we never stop and take a look around. And so what I've done is, after over 18 years of being who I thought I should be, I really went deep on trying to figure out what I truly want to do and who I truly want to become. And funnily enough, I think the answer to who I want to become is simply myself, my truest self, but also the best version of myself, the truest, best version of myself. And that's very vague, and it sounds like maybe an answer that, a kid would give you. But that's kind of the point. Because I've actually been making an effort to go back to and bring out my child self. Because this is actually something Robert Greene talks about in his book, Mastery, which, by the way, is my favorite book. And in that book, Robert Greene talks about looking back at what your inclinations are. He uses that word, inclinations. And what he really means by inclinations is what you were naturally attracted to as a kid. What maybe you loved doing, or you found easy or frictionless, or that you were obsessed with and you just did without anyone even telling you to do that thing. For me, for example, I actually mapped all of this out on my whiteboard, but I also combined it with other little segments. So I put inclinations. And for anyone listening to this, I'm most likely going to upload this on my podcast as well. So to anyone listening on the podcast, I am just presenting on my whiteboard right now, but I'm going to say everything as well, so there's nothing missing. So I combined inclinations, and I know I spelled inclinations there wrong, with curiosity and passion. And then I also had here strengths, so that's mastery, and then purpose. But I removed those because my passions kind of include my strengths already, and my inclinations, actually, should I say. And then my purpose, I wrote that as my life task. And I say life's task because that's phrase or term that Robert Greene uses in his book Mastery, your life's task, which is basically kind of like your purpose, your vocation, your life mission. And the reason I added curiosity and passion is because that's what Stephen Kotler talks about in his book, The Art of Impossible. And if you're scoffing at passion right now, then yes, passion alone is not enough. I agree. But the thing is that what you want to do is stack curiosity with passion and purpose. Then you have all these different intrinsic drivers. And intrinsic basically just means you're driven from within. It's like a car actually having an engine. Whereas when we are only motivated by goals, we're like a donkey chasing a carrot, or like a car being pushed. And I've used this analogy before, but it's like pushing your car off a cliff to go really fast. You will gain a lot of speed, but sooner or later you will crash, which is exactly what happened to me when I wasn't intrinsically driven. So when I say intrinsically driven, that basically just means being driven from within, actually wanting to do your work. And for that, you don't force yourself into doing your work. You find work that you want to throw yourself over. Imagine each day you woke up and you were obsessed, you were addicted, you could not wait to get to your desk or to just whatever it was that you were doing. I hope you can't hear this, someone starting a motorbike outside. But imagine you were just obsessed with your work and you could not wait to get to your work. Imagine how good you would be then. And that's something Naval Ravikant talks about. He says, become the best in the world at what you do. Refine what you do until this is true. And the reason for this is because to the people who are the best in the world, they get disproportionate returns. And I'm not going to go into that too deeply just now, but I just want to share with you what I essentially found out about myself, finally having stripped away to my core. And that's what my journey has been. It's basically been, like I said, a journey of self-discovery where I've been stripping away layer by layer, by layer by layer, until I could finally get to my core. And you know what? I feel like I finally got into the core, but it's probably an illusion. I've probably still got further to go to finding my truest self. And let me actually share with you what I found out about myself. So, my inclinations, there are three kind of main pillars. And by the way, once again, inclinations is what I naturally felt attracted to as a kid, or what I still feel a natural pull towards. And these inclinations are also my strengths, funnily enough, which is something that you might find yourself often. So there are kind of three pillars. And the first one is movement. My parents described me as lively, and I just loved being active all the time, and I'm very effortful. So I love putting in the effort. And I added bodily kinesthetic here because Howard Gardner has his intelligence, multiple intelligences, where he says it's not actually IQ, that's the only form of intelligence. There's interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, visual spatial, naturalistic, musical intelligence, all these kind of intelligences. So when we say Einstein is a genius, it's only actually that he was a genius in his kind of work. Whereas if he swapped roles or quote unquote jobs with Michael Jordan, then you wouldn't blame Albert Einstein for being stupid or incapable if he was bad at basketball, right? He was just good at his own thing, and that's the importance of following and pursuing your own inclinations. Because why force yourself? For example, if you found out as an analogy that you were a bird, then sure, you can learn to walk better, but why walk when you were born to fly? And then the second pillar of my strengths/inclinations is creative expression. As a kid, I always loved drawing, and I always loved building garages or roads for my toy cars. And I also love photography, and my dad described me as perceptive. So what he meant there was that I was able to look, and even as a kid, I was able to spot things that maybe at first glance you wouldn't notice. I was just very good at just observing and noticing things, and this also includes cars. I've always loved cars since I was a little kid, and from very far away, when I was barely even able to speak, I was saying basically, "Mom, look, there's a Skoda, there's a BMW, there's a Merc," like a Mercedes, Merc. And then the third pillar of my strengths/inclinations is connection, because my parents described me as caring, and I loved animals, and I just love people. I love connecting with people, meeting people. I'm very extroverted. I love socializing. So that's my third pillar. And Howard Gardner calls that interpersonal intelligence. So, oh yeah, and then the creative expression. So that's visual spatial intelligence. Visual spatial intelligence is you're able to imagine things. As far as I'm concerned, it's having good imagination, and in general, just being good with space and vision. So maybe you naturally are good with aesthetics, like you know where to place things. Maybe if you are designing something, then to those kind of people who have that kind of intelligence, it comes to them naturally to be able to design something well, which I find in myself. I never really took any proper design classes, yet I would say I'm decent. I'm not incredible because I've not learned enough and now I want to, but it's something that comes naturally to me. So yeah, there are three pillars. So bodily kinesthetic, so movement and activity, visual spatial, so creativity, and then the third one is connection, interpersonal. And what this means altogether is that I want to pursue filmmaking. That's what I want to achieve mastery at. I want to inspire people, and I want to create films or videos that truly move people and that touch them at their core. Videos that really make people look within and feel as if something within them has just awakened, a new light. And that's why I've written my life's task here as to inspire and guide people to their truth, meaning, and mastery through art and wisdom. And really quickly, I'll just run through my curiosities and passions just to finish this off. So basically, my curiosities revolve around human potential. That's my life goal is to bring out my full potential, and my life mission is to inspire and guide others to their full potential. And so my curiosities specifically include things like how figures like Leonardo da Vinci brought out the greatness within them, human nature, so basically like what drives us, what makes us all unique, and what makes us who we are. And my passions include actually conceiving ideas and visions. I love coming up with these ideas and working on them. Creative expression, I love expressing those ideas. I love sports and movement. Like I mentioned, cars has always been a thing since I was little. I love learning and synthesizing, traveling, meeting people, nature. I love giving, helping, inspiring, and aesthetics, music, art, photography, and film. So, yeah, that's all. And well, I am currently working on my next quote unquote film. I'm not sure if it will qualify for that term, film, quite yet, because I still have got a long way to go to make these, really good. But that's the point. I've decided to stop chasing and trying to, make money as fast as possible. And instead, I'm just focusing on my craft, on achieving mastery and becoming the best in the world, while not comparing to others, but just focusing on becoming better than who I was yesterday, each and every day. And through that, money will come to me. There's no need to chase those things. They will come to me in their own time. But for now, I'm going to enjoy the process and actually enjoy life and do work I love and actually create art. So with that, I wish you all the best. Go out and do incredible things. And take some time today to just slow down and look within. Ask some questions and really think to yourself, what do I truly want? And who do I truly want to become? And for anything that you do in your life, ask yourself, is it my true self that I'm projecting? Is this authentic to me? Do I truly want to do this? Is this true to me? Because I honestly think that the most important question to ask ourselves for anything is this true to me? Whether that's business, marriage, like just all of life. So yeah, that's all. Go out and do incredible things. I wish you all the best and be mega. Ciao. Remember, it's already there within you.